The 29th of January 1919, Volume 12. God will accomplish the third renewal of humanity by manifesting what his divinity did within his humanity. I was doing the adoration of the wounds of Blessed Jesus, and at the end I recited the Creed, intending to enter into the immensity of the divine will, in which there are all the acts of the creatures, past, present, and future, and even those acts which the creature should do, but did not, because of negligence or wickedness. And I was saying, my Jesus, my love, I enter your volition, and with this creed I intend to redo and repair all the acts of faith which the creatures have not done, all the disbeliefs and the lacks of adoration which is due to God as Creator. While I was saying these and other things, I felt my intelligence being dissolved in the divine will, and a light investing all my intellect, in which I could see my sweet Jesus. This light spoke and spoke, but who can say everything? I will say it confusedly. And then I feel such repugnance that if obedience were not so severe but more indulgent, it would not force me into such sacrifices. But you, my life, give me the strength, and do not leave this poor little ignorant one on her own. Now it seemed that he was saying to me, my beloved daughter, I want to let you know the order of my providence. Every 2,000 years I have renewed the world. In the first 2,000 years I renewed it with the deluge. In the second 2,000 I renewed it with my coming upon earth, when I manifested my humanity, from which, as if from many fissures, my divinity shone forth. The good ones and the very saints of the following 2,000 years have lived from the fruits of my humanity, and in drops they have enjoyed my divinity. Now we are around the third 2,000 years, and there will be a third renewal. This is the reason for the general confusion. It is nothing other than the preparation of the third renewal. If in the second renewal I manifested what my humanity did and suffered, and very little of what my humanity was operating, now in this third renewal, after the earth will be purged and a great part of the current generation destroyed, I will be even more generous with creatures, and I will accomplish the renewal by manifesting what my divinity did within my humanity, how my divine will acted with my human will, how everything remained linked within me, how I did and redid everything, and how each thought of each creature was redone by me and sealed with my divine volition. My love wants to pour itself out. It wants to make known the excesses which my divinity operated in my humanity for the creatures, excesses which greatly surpass the excesses that my humanity operated externally. This is also why I speak to you about living in my will, which I have not manifested to anyone until now. At the most, they have known the shadow of my will, the grace and the sweetness of doing it, but to penetrate inside of it, to embrace immensity, to be multiplied with me, and even while being on earth, penetrate everywhere, both into heaven and into the hearts, laying down the human ways and acting in divine ways. This is not yet known, so much so that not to a few will this appear strange. And those who do not keep their minds open to the light of the truth will not understand a thing. But little by little I will make my way, manifesting now one truth, now another, about this living in my will, so that they will end up understanding. Now the first link which connected the true living in my will was my humanity. My humanity, identified with my divinity, swam in the eternal volition and kept tracing all the acts of creatures in order to make them its own, to give to the Father a divine glory on the part of creatures, and to bring the value, the love, the kiss of the eternal volition to all the acts of creatures. In this sphere of the eternal volition, I could see all the acts of creatures, those which could be done and were not done, and also the acts, the good acts, done badly. And I did those which had not been done, and redid those done badly. Now these acts which were not done except by me alone are all suspended in my will, and I await the creatures to come to live in my volition and repeat in my will that which I did. This is why I chose you as a second link of connection with my humanity, a link which becomes one with mine, as you live in my volition and repeat my own acts. Otherwise, on this side, my love would remain without its outpouring, without glory from the creatures, for all that my divinity operated within my humanity, and without the perfect purpose of creation, which must be enclosed and perfected in my will. It would be as if I had shed all my blood and suffered so much, and nobody had known it. Who would have loved me? Which heart would have been shaken? No one. And therefore in no one would I have had my fruits, the glory of redemption. Interrupting Jesus, saying, I said, my love, if there is so much good in this living in the divine will, why didn't you manifest it before? And he, my daughter, first I had to make known what my humanity did and suffered externally to be able to dispose souls to knowing what my divinity did inside. The creature is incapable of understanding my work altogether. Therefore, I keep manifesting myself little by little. Then from your link of connection with me, the links of other souls will be connected, and I will have a cohort of souls who, living in my volition, will redo all the acts of the creatures. I will receive the glory of the many suspended acts done only by me, also from the creatures. And these from all classes, virgins, priests, lay people, according to their office. They will no longer operate humanly, but rather, as they penetrate into my will, their acts will multiply for all in a way which is fully divine. I will receive from the creatures the divine glory of many sacraments administered and received in a human way, of others which have been profaned, of others sullied with interest, and of many good works in which I remain more dishonoured than honoured. I yearn very much for this time, and you pray and yearn for it together with me. And do not move your link of connection with mine, but start as the first one. End of the reading. The 29th of January, 1928, Volume 23. Immense value of the writings on the divine will. How they are characters transmitted by the celestial fatherland. How they will lay siege to the human will. Desire of the heart of Jesus. His acts, an army asking for the kingdom of the fiat. I was reading in the 20th volume what regarded the divine will, and I felt such impression as if I would see a divine life, alive and palpitating, flowing in the written words. I could feel the strength of the light, the life of the warmth of heaven, the virtue as though operating of the divine fiat in what I was reading. And I thanked my Jesus from the heart, who with so much love had deigned to make me right. But while I was doing this, my beloved Jesus, as though unable to contain himself, the throbs of his heart came out from within my interior, and throwing his arms around my neck, he pressed me tightly to his heart to let me feel his ardent heartbeats. And he told me, my daughter, you thank me, for I have made you right what regards my will, doctrinal of heaven, and that has the virtue of communicating the life of it, palpitating and all celestial, to those who will read these writings. My will is palpitating in the midst of creatures, but it lives suffocated by the human will. These writings will make its heartbeat felt so strongly that it will suffocate the human will and will take its first place of life that is due to it. Because my will is the heartbeat and the life of all creation. Therefore, the value of these writings is immense. They contain the value of a divine will. If they were written in gold, they would not surpass the great value that they contain in themselves. These writings are suns, impressed with characters of most refulgent light in the walls of the celestial fatherland, and they form the most beautiful ornament for those walls of the eternal city, in which all the blessed remain enraptured and amazed in reading the characters of the supreme will. Therefore, greater grace I could not give in these times than transmitting through you the characters of the celestial fatherland to creatures that will bring the life of heaven into their midst. So just as you thank me, I thank you for being willing to receive my lessons and to make the sacrifice of writing under my dictation. It was my will that while you were writing made flow the living virtue of its ardent, eternal, and vivifying heartbeat that it impressed in your characters. This is why in rereading it, you feel the renewing of it, all celestial, that is impressed in them. Oh, how hard it will be for those who will read these writings not to feel the palpitating life of my will and not to be stirred by the virtue of its vivifying heartbeat from the lethargy they are in. These writings on my supreme fiat, by the strength of its light, will eclipse the human will. They will be balm to the human wounds. They will be opium to all that is earth. Passions will feel themselves die, and from their death will rise again the life of heaven in the midst of creatures. They will be the true celestial army that, while laying siege to the human will and to all the evils produced by it, will make peace, the lost happiness, the life of my will, rise again in the midst of creatures. The siege that they will lay will cause no harm to anyone, because my will is to lay siege to the human will, so that it may no longer tyrannize the poor creatures, but may leave them free in the kingdom of my will. This is why I have insisted, and I insist so much in making you right. I have kept you on the cross. I have sacrificed you. It was necessary. It was about the most important thing. It was the echo of heaven, the life of up there that I want to form upon earth. And this is the reason for my continuous refrain. Be attentive, omit nothing, and may your flight in my will be continuous. After this, I was continuing my round in the divine fiat, and I accompanied the sighs, the tears, the steps of Jesus, and all the rest done and suffered by him, saying to him, My love, Jesus, I place the army of all your acts around you, and investing your words, your heartbeats, your steps, your pains, and all your acts with my I love you, I ask you for the kingdom of your will. Hear, O Jesus, if you do not listen to me by means of the army of your acts, that pray you, that press you, what else could I do to move you to grant me a kingdom so holy? While I was saying this, I thought to myself, did my sweet Jesus have his desires while he was on this earth, or did he not have them at all? And he, moving in my interior, told me, My daughter, as God, no desire existed in me, because desire arises in one who does not possess everything, but in one who possesses everything and lacks nothing, desire has no reason to exist. However, as man, I had my desires, because my heart associated itself with the other creatures in everything, and making the desires of all my own, I desired for all, with all ardour, to give the kingdom of my divine fiat to all creatures. So if I sighed for the kingdom of my will. If I prayed, cried, and desired, it was only for my kingdom, that I wanted in the midst of creatures, because since it was the holiest thing, my humanity could not do without wanting and desiring the most holiest thing, so as to sanctify the desires of all, and give them what was holy, and of greatest and most perfect good for them. Therefore, everything you do is nothing other than my echo, that resounding in you makes you ask in each one of my acts for the kingdom of my will. This is why I present to you each act of mine, each pain I suffer, each tear I shed, each step I take, because I love that, investing them, you repeat after each one of my acts, Jesus, I love you, and because I love you, give me the kingdom of your divine will. I want you to call me in everything I do to make resound for me the sweet memory of my acts, saying, Fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven, in such a way that seeing your littleness, the little daughter of my will, echoing all my acts, placing them around me like an army, I may hasten to grant the kingdom of my will. End of the reading. The 29th of January 1933, Volume 31. Power of the Truth. Steps on both sides. God and the creature. Unusual aspect of the Supreme Being. I was thinking about the many truths that my adorable Jesus had manifested to me about the divine will, and oh, how many thoughts crowded in my mind of surprises, of joys, of emotions about these truths. It seemed to me that they descended from heaven, all ordered so as to fill the earth, and their work was to form the way in themselves, in order to let us re-enter into these truths. Then they would wall themselves around creatures, in order not to let them leave. And my celestial Jesus visiting my little soul told me, my little daughter of my volition, you must know that every truth that I've manifested about my divine will is nothing other than one more approach towards creatures. Our Supreme Being, as it spoke, so it took one more step toward them. It placed one more divine particle at their disposition and cast new bonds of union and of love. Our word is always our birth. It is our word that we placed on the way from heaven in order to seek our yearned-for creature, and our sacrosanct Trinity, drawn by the power of the word, because he was inseparable from us, made us take our next steps, and step by step we arrive at where our word reaches. Now you must know that when we decide to manifest a truth by means of our word, since it is a part of ourselves that we are putting forth, our Supreme Being takes an unusual aspect, a new joy invests us, a strength communicative of new beatitudes comes forth from us. The whole of heaven, in seeing our unusual aspect, already senses that we are about to put forth one word of ours of truth, because the first to celebrate the truths that we put forth were the three divine persons, and then the whole of heaven together with us. They are gifts of the great King, who knows how to move everything, invest everything, and our word has the creative, vivifying, transforming virtue. And at times it knocks down, it crushes, it smashes everything to pieces. And over the ruins makes arise the life of our word. And it forms there the most beautiful things, a new creation, works of magnificence as to amaze heaven and earth. What can one fiat of ours not do? It can do everything. And what will the chains of so many of our fiats not do? Our fiat, transformed into word of truth, possesses the invincible virtue, unreachable power, immovable firmness of the good that it wants to form in the power of my speaking fiat. You do not understand the great gift and the great good that one single word of mine about divine truth encloses, but you will understand it with time, when you will see the deeds, the works that my truths have produced, because my truths not only have the power of drawing our Supreme Being near, of letting us take the steps, and many times it also makes us race in order to come near the creatures, but they give graces to them of letting them take steps, making them race to meet he who already was coming to meet them, and to give them the great good that our fiat pronounced. So our truths act powerfully when they come forth from our divine being, because if they go forth, they want to give the life and the good that they possess, and at the same time they want to dispose creatures to draw near to the font from which they came, in order to transform them into the good of the same truth. If a new truth comes forth from us, it is everything. At the most, times, centuries can pass, but this says nothing, because they are armed not only with power, but with invincible and divine patience, and they don't become tired in waiting. They are tireless, they are inflexible. First, they must give what good they have, the life that they possess, and then triumphant and victorious, they send back to heaven the fruits that they have conquered. Therefore, my daughter, be attentive in listening to my truths. First, you must think about where they come from, who hands them to you, the good that they want to make you, the steps of both sides to draw near each other. Do not want to put them in doubt because you do not see in the world the effects, the good, the life that my truths possess. Time will do and will say everything. For now, do your part. For the rest, let your Jesus think about it. Beyond this, you must know that first we form the support, the place, the soul where our truths must descend, and then we decide to send them forth from inside our paternal bosom, because our Supreme Being, in sending the truths forth from us, that change into works for creatures, in sending them forth, we do not let them remain in the air and idle. No, our wisdom never does useless things. If we put them forth, they must be bearers of the good that they contain. Here is the reason for the necessity of the support for where our goodness can send them, in order to immediately begin their work of participation and of transformation of the good that they possess. Perhaps only to begin with one soul alone, but then to diffuse so much as to form the armies of creatures of the good that our truths possess. And when they have formed these noble armies, our truths carry them to us, onto the lap of our celestial fatherland. They are conquerors who populate heaven. They act as messengers. They run over the earth. They cast the seed. They work at it. They gather it. And triumphant for placing it in safety, they bring it into the celestial regions. They are untiring, nor do they ever stop if they have not obtained their intent. Therefore be attentive. Do not transgress in anything of what your Jesus has taught you. End of the reading. There are no more readings today. Have a blessed day.